These are three big mistakes that almost every retiree tends to make. You have been saving for retirement for a long time. This transition that you're about to make from working and saving for retirement into that phase of your life that's more focused about spending in retirement is a big one. It's one you haven't made before, and there's a lot of choices that are really, really important, some of which you only have one time to make. These are three big mistakes that almost every retiree tends to make. One is tax loss gain harvesting while income is temporarily low. Two, not paying attention to how their income affects their premiums for Medicare Part B. And lastly is opportunity for Roth conversion planning. These are three big things to focus on at the very beginning, early years of a retirement. Tax gain loss harvesting. There's three different capital gains rates, and there's also something called the net investment income tax that sits on top of it. If your income is below roughly $94,000, you can pay a capital gain tax at a rate of 0%. That's right, tax-free. So do you have opportunity to sell appreciated securities in a taxable investment account and only pay a 0% tax on it? Say you love the investment, you want to stay invested in it. That's okay. You can sell it, immediately repurchase, and reestablish your basis if you want to. But that gain, as long as we're keeping that income in total below $94,000, if filing as a couple, is a huge opportunity. Can we pay 0% income tax? That's one that people miss all of the time. That opportunity also exists for people filing single. Bracket is roughly half the size as most tax brackets are. That number is $47,000. So if we can keep income below $47,000 filing single or $94,000 filing jointly, we can sell assets and potentially pay 0% capital gains. Really big opportunity. The second one is not being aware to how your income affects your Medicare Part B premiums. This is something called IRMA. Depending on what your income is on your tax return from 2 years prior, that determines what your Part B premium will be. Part B insurance looks the same for everybody, but you may be paying 3 times what your neighbor across the street is, just because we're not controlling income. One of the key things to keep in mind is that threshold. The first threshold is $206,000. So if your income is below roughly $206,000 at any level, your Part B premium will be essentially the same, around $175-ish per month. But if your income is higher than that, you'll start going up in these tiers, as you can see from the graphic here on the screen. So what I would focus on is how can we keep our income below these thresholds, but also recognize that if you're retiring and it's looking at your tax return from 2 years ago, which maybe was a really high income year from a good work year later in your career, that might throw off your Medicare Part B premiums for a couple of years. So if you retire, you can file an SSA 44. This is a Medicare form where you can file for life-changing events, work stoppage, death, divorce, sale of a property, those types of things. You can write down, this is my income for this year, this will be my income from next year, reset my income and my premiums for next year based on this income number that I'm writing in here. Of course, they'll check that when you file your tax return. There's a good chance that your income will be lower in retirement than it was when you were working. You can save yourself all that premium increase. Also, what are the other things that could potentially push this level higher? All of this needs to be weighed on the balance. Roth conversion planning, capital gains taxes, the other two things we're talking about in our video today will also push your income up for Medicare Part B. So all of these things need to be done on the balance, which brings us into our third big mistake that retirees are oftentimes making, and that's not taking active advantage of Roth conversion planning, especially early in a retirement. Right after you retire is oftentimes some of the very best years in which you can do a Roth conversion. Your income is typically low. You haven't filed for Social Security yet. Maybe you haven't filed your pension papers yet. Your income might be low. You can even keep it lower by using cash assets potentially to fund all of your expense needs. Selling cash assets, non-retirement accounts, if they don't have large gains, can keep your income low, allowing for large Roth conversions. All the way up into the 22 or through the 24% tax bracket would be a really good idea. This is forward-looking planning. Think of it like driving a car. You're looking out the windshield. What's 10 miles in front of you? One of the things that's 10 miles in front of you is your RMD, required minimum distribution. This is the amount of money the government forces you to take from your investments, whether you want to or not, starting at age 73 or age 75 for people who are younger. The RMD could potentially mess up your taxes later in life, especially if maybe you're single at that time and now you're having to take a large chunk of money over tax brackets that are half the size. You want to be in control of that. You tell the government what rate you're going to pay. Tax rates right now are close to 100-year lows. Does it make sense to pay a little tax today to have it grow tax-free and be withdrawn tax-free in the future? Very likely something that needs to be considered. Those would be 3 big mistakes that I see retirees making almost every day. Not taking advantage of 0% capital gains rates, not being focused on how their income affects their Medicare Part B premium, and not taking proper advantage of Roth conversion opportunities early in your retirement. Really glad you watched this video with us today. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back for more. If you found this content helpful and you found it informative, awesome. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, connect on LinkedIn. I'm going to be putting out more content just like this. If you have other questions that are a little bit deeper that I wasn't able to dive into in this video, or you have questions about how it pertains to you individually, awesome, totally okay. Go to the link on my website. There's a space where you can book some time with us. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Help you as much as I can. It's complimentary. I'll point you in the right direction. If you have other questions, we can tackle those too. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day.